NXT Takeover Phoenix just concluded, and I'm going to bring you guys my full review and reaction to this pay-per-view. Was it everything that we thought it would be? Let's talk about it. Hey guys, this video is brought to you by the free merchandise that we're giving you. Leave a comment down below, some of the best comments. We're going to send some lucky viewers and subscribers some free Destination Pro Wrestling merchandise. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Tony, and this is Destination Pro Wrestling. NXT Takeover Phoenix just concluded. It is January 26th, 2019. And so far, the reaction on social media has definitely been interesting. Now, I gotta be honest with you guys, NXT Takeovers are usually my favorite pay-per-views when it comes to WWE, but unfortunately, today just didn't do it for me. We're gonna talk a little bit about some of the matches that happened, and just overall my reaction to everything that happened, maybe things that I would have done differently. And on top of that, I wanna know what you guys think. The purpose of this channel is to bring wrestling fans together, build a community. So guys, as always, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. You know, if you guys are new to the channel, I actually posted something on YouTube community. It's a feature that I use to you know, communicate with you guys on what's going on. And I asked you guys for some of your predictions. And some of you guys got some predictions absolutely right. But if you guys are new to the channel, just check it out. We talked about Phoenix Takeover, and a lot of people weren't happy with it. And some people were. The first match of the night was the War Raiders versus Undisputed Era. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I thought for sure Undisputed Era was going to win this match. And, you know, with WWE not really putting a big focus in their tag team division, obviously, as you guys can tell by Raw or SmackDown, I was kind of shocked that they were going to go this route with Hanson and Rowe. But they did get the W against Undisputed Era. Now, part of me is thinking the reason for this is because WWE has plans to move Undisputed Era to the main roster. I thought maybe some sort of invasion angle would make sense, and obviously Royal Rumble is still a day away. But I don't know what WWE's plans are here. I feel like, you know, WWE had something really good with Undisputed Era, and I feel like what they did here with Hanson and Rowe was obviously they elevated this tag team. They're giving them a lot of, you know, recognition and a lot of publicity on social media. But I don't know if this is worth the investment. And the reason for that is because we've seen other big tag teams like these guys, right? Like AOP, you know, Rowan and Harper. And at the end of the day, WWE doesn't really do anything with these guys. So I'm not sure if this was the right move. It was a good match, good back and forth. Undisputed Era is always great, but one thing that I have to give credit to, Hanson and Rowe, guys, they're just really consistent tag team, and I feel like they definitely had the crowd interested in this match. What was really cool was obviously their Viking entrance that they did for TakeOver, and this is where I have to give a lot of props to WWE as well, because NXT TakeOver, it's not very often when it happens, so they treat this very special, and I'm glad that they got that special entrance, and I'm glad they took a lot of time to, you know, put some attention on this tag team. But one of the things that we just have to be very clear on is whether WWE's direction for their tag teams is going to be a clear direction. And the reason why is because if WWE makes these guys tag team champions, but they don't do anything for the future of this tag team, then it's not worth the title change. And what I mean by that is a very specific tag team in WWE. The Revival were incredible in NXT, and then they went out to the main roster and literally nothing happened with them. And that's a huge issue WWE has on its own. And a tag team like this, I mean, the match was a good way to start the card, but I'm reading a lot of people's reactions to this pay-per-view, and people just aren't that happy. And I don't know if it's because of the creative decisions that WWE has made on this card, but the War Raiders got the W here, and my initial reaction to this match was, it was a good match, but I just don't understand the title change. And maybe I'm wrong here, and that's the best part about pro wrestling. You could have your opinions. Maybe you guys disagree. Maybe you guys think this is the right time. But I think what WWE has with the Undisputed Era is really, really good. And it just makes me confused on what they're going to do and how that investment goes. Now, this was probably the most predictable match on the NXT TakeOver card. We got Matt Riddle versus Cassius Ohno, and this is where I feel like things kind of fell apart. Now, first of all, I have to give a lot of credit to Matt Riddle because he is truly a really talented guy, and so is Cassius Ohno. But you know, one of the things about Matt Riddle that is starting to really make me enjoy watching him is the fact that he could really he can get that energy going from the crowd. And obviously, you guys can tell if you watch his entrance, everybody's hyped for him. And the guy has a lot of things going for him. But it makes me scared that WWE is already at the point where his character is too fun and too positive and too upbeat that he might get lost in the shuffle when he inevitably goes into the main roster. And that's one thing that scares me about Matt Riddle, because he's a former UFC fighter. He's a badass. Like, he's really good at submissions. He's really good technically sound. These are things that people love about Matt Riddle. This match was good. I agree with the decision for him, obviously going over Cassius Ohno. But one of the things that people need to know as well, and this is my biggest issue with WWE, this match, I get the story leading up to it. I see what they've been doing back and forth on NXT on NXT TV. But this match was just kind of like a filler match. And I hate that. I hate how Cassius Ohno is being used time and time again. It's like this guy is constantly losing. He's not really being taken serious. And I get it. He's so good at what he does. He's kind of become an enhancement talent. He's making other people better. But Cassius Ohno loses to Matt Riddle. One thing that was incredible, though, if you guys could find the clip on YouTube or go back into the WWE Network, click that rewind button on your Apple TV or Roku or whatever you watch the WWE Network, there is a part where Cassius Ohno literally kicks Matt Riddle so hard in the face. Guys, it was insane. You can literally see it in slow-mo. His face gets just... And definitely a crazy thing. And obviously accidents happen or whatever. But it was a cool match, but I just don't understand the need for it. I feel like with how much talent WWE has... It always makes me curious as to why some guys don't end up on the NXT card, especially a card like this when there's, it starts at 7 o'clock, it ends at like 9:30. I mean, realistically, I feel like you can fit a lot of people. I don't know if maybe they need to add a little bit more time to the TakeOver shows. Maybe that's what it is for me. I don't know if maybe the card this year or this time around, I don't know if it was strong enough. It was a good match, but it didn't do anything for me. And I think a lot of people on social media agree with that. Now, this match was actually the surprising match for me because Bianca Belair is incredibly talented, but I'm not sure how her style was going to match up with Shayna Baszler. And that was actually one of the most impressive things about this match because two different styles working very, very well. What you guys need to know, Shayna Baszler obviously retained her belt. It looks like WWE is going to keep her in NXT for a little bit. It looks like WWE is going to continue pushing her as a badass, obviously being the heel gimmick. My initial reaction, though, and I wish you guys could find this clip as well. If I could just play it without copyright issues, it would be perfect. But Bianca Belair did her hair whip, and she did it to Shayna Baszler, and you could literally see the side of her stomach is cut open. And that is something that is really unique about Bianca Belair because her style is so different. She's got a different attitude, but she's just so good, and there's always room for improvement. But this was one of those matches where I genuinely feel like WWE did a really good job. So whoever produced this match, I feel like for what we were what we expected, I feel like this was way above my expectations. And I love this match because I feel like WWE also realizes that they have so much female talent in NXT, and now they're starting to highlight them. Whether they win or lose, we're starting to take notes, and that is something that I think they did a really good job of doing this time. If you didn't know who Bianca Belair was before this match, you definitely know her now. Shayna Baszler is incredible. She's constantly putting on good matches. Again, this was my match where I was like, I don't think it's going to work. I didn't think the styles were going to work. I didn't think people wanted to see this match. And a lot of people, when they predicted this match specifically on the community here on the channel, a lot of people were saying, yo, this is going to be the easy one. Shayna's going to get the win. And there was a couple times where Bianca Belair looked like she could have won. And that's the nice thing about what they did here. They did a good job of making Bianca Belair look great, but obviously in typical heel fashion, Shayna Baszler gets the W. And I'm excited to see who competes for the NXT Women's Championship next time. I've heard rumors that, for NXT TakeOver in New York for WrestleMania, there was rumors that Toni Storm, champion versus champion, that would be really, really, really unique. Toni Storm putting, the NXT UK, representing NXT UK versus Shayna Baszler would be a really interesting matchup, and I would love to see what WWE does with that. It's definitely a great rumor. Let's ask you guys, what do you think if Toni Storm were to face off against Shayna Baszler? Who would you guys pick? What would you guys do creatively in that situation? Okay, and this is absolutely my match of the night because if you guys know, I am absolutely a huge fan of Ricochet, which is why I was so shocked that Ricochet lost the North American Championship belt. But one of two things. Honestly, I feel like WWE made the right decision here. If you guys didn't know, Johnny Gargano did win the North American Championship belt from Ricochet. And we'll talk a little bit more about his victory celebration at the end of the show because he did have one with Ciampa. But Johnny Gargano was victorious in this match. There was a really, really cool Hurricanrana off the top rope, and everybody was off their seats. Ricochet lands on his feet, just typical badass fashion, and Johnny Gargano is now the new champion. Now, one thing I want to absolutely tell you guys about Johnny Gargano, this was my prediction for a while. I feel like WWE still wants to finish the story between Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. And we've kind of seen this attitude shift with Johnny Gargano. We saw that throughout NXT tapings. We saw that obviously here tonight. But one of the things that WWE looks to possibly be doing, and I think it's going to happen, I think WWE is going to have champion versus champion at WrestleMania Takeover weekend. And that's going to be incredible because Ciampa versus Gargano, winner takes all. I think it's the move. I think it's the right move. I think Johnny Gargano winning the North American Championship and then putting that on the line for the NXT World title and then coming out obviously on top, I think there's some really, really big things. And WWE is kind of teasing that like DIY is back together. Look, some people are going to say creatively this didn't make sense. Ricochet does not need the belt. As great as he is, he's a talent that doesn't need the title. And honestly, I expect him to be in the Royal Rumble. I expect him to be making his Royal Rumble debut. I expect him to be announcing that he's going to be with either Raw or SmackDown. I think Ricochet is making that main roster jump. Right now, Ciampa and Gargano have a larger story to tell, which is why this decision was made. By far, match of the night. This was, a lot of people were complaining about this card. They said this card lacked excitement. I think in this situation, Johnny Gargano and Ricochet absolutely saved people. And it gets people excited because, these are two really, really good wrestlers. And that's what people want to see was two really good wrestlers. But there's a little bit of a story being told. And one story that's really being elevated is the whole mystery behind Gargano and Ciampa. And that's what's making me really excited about this. Gargano is the new champion. And obviously at NXT tapings, I want to see more of what they're going to do with him. And I'm hoping for the absolute best. But we'll kind of see what happens there. And if things don't go well for Gargano and maybe he doesn't have a title versus title, if he's stuck in the NXT mid-card, look, there's a lot of guys out there who are ready for that title belt, and I think we could get some awesome feuds out of that. And for the main event of the night, we had Tommaso Ciampa versus Aleister Black, which, guys, it's not like we haven't seen something like this before. Tommaso Ciampa won, and it was a very, very crazy match, a lot of back and forth, a lot of excitement, I guess, but it fell flat. And I think the reason for that was because this was also very predictable. And sometimes for NXT shows, what really seems to work for NXT is the unpredictability. When guys like Adam Cole and Undisputed Era debut, right, it's unexpected. People see it happen. That's a big thing. When Drew McIntyre versed Andrade Almas, like, those are things that people love. They love the suspense. They love that. And I feel like this match didn't deliver on quite those levels, and that's why this kind of didn't work out in their favor. Ciampa got the W. He retained his belt. It is what it is. My favorite part about this was after the show was ending, as he was celebrating on the ramp, Johnny Gargano came out with his North American Championship and celebrated with him. And it looks like WWE might be doing something huge here. They're either teasing a DIY reunion, like full reunion, or potentially we might see Gargano become a little cocky as well as Ciampa. And I think they might have the trilogy match. And I think at WrestleMania, weekend, I think champion versus champion is the way to go. And I think tables are going to turn here. I think Johnny Gargano might become the heel, or he could be the babyface. But I think we could see him go full-fledged heel against Ciampa. And I think we're going to start seeing some sneak attacks. I think we're going to start seeing some things that's going to show how much Johnny Gargano elevated and how much more he is above Tommaso Ciampa. Because at this point, Tommaso Ciampa, he's been getting, he's kind of becoming comfortable. Last time they did the super kick together. And, I think it's going to show that he's a little bit more vulnerable. And I think people will appreciate the storytelling here. If this does happen, if we get Ciampa versus Gargano, title versus title, I think that's a huge move for NXT. I think it'll get people excited. But this match just didn't do it for me. And I don't know if this was NXT TakeOver's worst show of the year. I don't know if I can confidently say that, but it definitely wasn't its best. But based on the actions that happened today, there's a lot of things that can happen going forward that hopefully will make a little bit more sense and clear things up. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching today's review and reaction. Let me know what you guys think down below about NXT TakeOver. My name is Tony from Destination Pro Wrestling. I'll see you guys next time.